I'm back. I'm gonna squat here for a second before I get into the camera in an actual spot, because I bet you I'd knock everything down in my setup in order to be able to do anything. Welcome to episode 2. I normally don't make it this far, so congratulations, we've done it. We've done it. Today we are going to be interviewing somebody who I've actually wanted to talk to for a long time, since I heard his music the first time, because it's really interesting, and I hope that you guys too also really want to listen to ote.jpeg, our newest person on the Relevance Rotation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get to know a little bit about ote.jpeg. I'll have to get through the naming conventions and everything because I know there's 2 of them. But we will get a little bit into it. Let you guys meet him and just have a little bit of a short conversation. Get to know.
I feel bad. I know that everyone says OTE. It's supposed to be like JPEG, and then the OTE is like kind of a crew name. It's like ASAP Rock, ASAP Ferg kind of thing is what I always used to explain.
Yeah, because it's Overthought Entertainment, right? So it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you want to go by JPEG?
JPEG would be great.
Perfect. All right. Well, then I'll call you JPEG. So nice to meet you, JPEG. Do you want to give yourself a little introduction to audience, everybody? Let people know who you are.
Yeah, I'm a pop artist from Salt Lake City, Utah. I do music that it's probably more in the hyperpop vein. To be more specific, I recently moved to Tokyo. I've been working with some Japanese artists out here. I spent a few years here when I was 18 to 20, learned Japanese, and the last few years I've just been itching to come back. So now I'm back out.
You recently moved back to Tokyo. What has led you to move back to Tokyo?
I was looking at my stream numbers one day in Utah, and yeah, I don't know if this is a universal experience, but for me, it was really tricky to get people in my hometown to listen to me and take me seriously. I think when you're first starting out, right, you don't have fans. You have friends and family who listen to you because they're nice to you, you know? And I started to see real growth in Tokyo. And that's real fans, right? I don't have a lot of friends in Tokyo. Even when I lived here, I lived in the southern part of Japan. So I was thinking about it. I was like, hey, Hyperpop, there's like a strong scene in LA. There's a strong scene in New York. But I am going to like be completely washed out in the sea of other Hyperpop artists, right? So Tokyo seemed to make sense because I have this kind of key that unlocks it by speaking Japanese. I'm used to the culture. I've lived here before, and there's not a lot of tall, bald white dudes doing Hyperpop in Japan. So
you have a niche.
Me a little.
You have a niche over in Japan.
Yeah. I stand out here a lot more than I would in LA. So giving it a shot.
Do you like that you stand out in that niche, or does that make you feel a little uncomfortable at times?
There are definitely times where I'm kind of like a circus clown in a way, like it's just novelty to them. But no, it's mostly good. I think if you're trying to be an artist, you need to be happy with standing out for whatever reason. So I'm happy with it.
At least we're clinging to the brand with it too. So it works out well for you. OTE is a kind of clan like ASAP. What is it for you? What is Overthought Entertainment as a group?
Mhm.
How do you guys feel yourself like working together? Or I don't know who's all in it. I don't know everybody who's, it's new to us.
Yeah, it originally was. I was telling you before we turned on the stream, but that high school teacher, Mr. Lang was his name. He was incredible. But we had a group of kids in his class, digital media class, that would make music, and we would make little video games, not good video games, but like little Unity demos.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to have some kind of umbrella where we packaged everything up and shipped it through that company, right?
Yep.
So that was Overthought Entertainment. It eventually evolved into something that I just kind of treated like a label for my music. It is not even an LLC. It's just for name's sake. But in the last 5 or so years since high school, everyone else has kind of dropped off. So unfortunately, I have all my accounts in ot.jpeg, and I'm like the only one. But just in this last year, I think you've seen ot.midi.
Yes.
Producer that I found through TikTok actually ended up being also Utah-based, has kind of joined up with me. So now we at least have the duo for OTE, and hopefully more in the future. But right now we're just the two of us.
So right now it's just you and ote.midi basically is in OTE, the Overthought Entertainment.
Yeah, I think the other guys would
Basically,
be upset if I
okay.
said that. We do have, so I have a friend Ritter. He's a programmer, and then I have a friend Ronnie. Ronnie also does music production. Ronnie is just wrapped up in work, married life. So me and Midi are the only ones that don't have shit going on, so we
So,
can really like commit to it.
so you're the ones that have the time to focus on the music right now.
Exactly.
All right. So I do have to ask though, because so you have just started, kind of blowing up a little bit more recently. You just moved to Tokyo. What is your background in music and industry? Because you really are pretty new to the scene for especially most people who have been listeners. As your, I mean, I don't necessarily know what has happened prior to what is out right now, but I mean your first songs on Spotify popped up like only a year ago, if that.
I started in high school. Just it was more like SoundCloud rapper type of stuff. Like I think most high school students in like 2015, 2016. Um, was writing with friends. Posted a couple songs on SoundCloud that are all privated now. They're not good. And then I went and did. I don't know if you're familiar with Mormons. I was raised Mormon, so I am no longer religious.
Hmm.
But I went on a Mormon mission, like suit and tie, knocking doors.
Hmm.
So I went out to Japan to do that. That's how I learned Japanese, and that kind of took me off the music path. I was on like, let me do church stuff, let me do career stuff. And then it wasn't until like 2022, I went through a really rough breakup, and the church stuff went out the window, relationship now out the window, and I was kind of like grasping for something to commit to. And I was listening to some of my old songs from high school, and I was like, I don't think I ever really gave this a fair shot. So I got back into the music. I did an EP actually that you've probably never seen, but it's called Common Thoughts, and it was
I have not.
no, never heard of that.
No, I have not.
Nobody. I mean, my friends and family, like immediate family, probably the only people that know. But it was also not great, but it was a good like first step, and it helped me understand what I wanted to be making. So I put that out, ended up scrapping it like 4 or 5 months later, and then next step was off that, and I've been a little hyperpop boy ever since. What did get me into hyperpop? I think I honestly it's probably 100 gex. I think I was listening to 100 gex, and the first time I heard 100 gex, I I asked my little brother's friend to change it. Like they were playing it in the car, and I was like, I don't. This is stressing me out, and I had him
I
change
think
it.
that's everybody's first experience with 100 gas. So I don't feel
Yeah,
like that's anything. That's me too.
yeah, and
I
then
swear, definitely.
yeah, it's a lot on first listen.
Mhm.
But yeah, I heard that 100 gex song, and then I ended up going back to it, and it was like this. You know that meme where SpongeBob's standing in front of the vault, and it's like, "You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?" You know, and
Yeah.
Squidward's like trying to get in. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how I felt about like 100 gex. I was like, I kind of felt like I shouldn't like it. I felt like I was kind of old. I was only like 24, but
Mhm.
I was like, this feels like crazy, like Zoomer music. I shouldn't be into this, but I kept going back for more.
Besides 100 gex obviously got you in the direction of it. What other artists then did you start to feel inspiration from in order to start kind of getting this sound that you have kind of evolved into now?
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with like Gorset, Rory 404, Veo,
Yes. Yep.
Beth. So those guys, Veo especially, I remember I posted this TikTok because I was telling myself as I was starting to think about doing music, I was like, let me just post on TikTok every day and get some kind of like base there.
Hmm.
I was never very good at it, but I was trying to be consistent just for the sake of having someone to post to when I was ready for music. I did one TikTok about Veo where I described his music as being like hyper emotive. It's the voice cracks and the like grittiness of his voice. Rory does the same thing, but
Hmm.
it's so like unbridled, and that was really inspiring to me because it's I this is a little silly, but it's like hyper pop in the sense to me that it's like hyper expressive. It's they're not holding anything back, and that really inspired me. So I think if you listen to Haunted,
Hmm.
you'll very much hear some like Rory inspired delivery. Obviously, the production is very much like hypochondriac break-ins type production. Um, but yeah, I think those are probably my primary inspirations, is that like kind of the Gorset crew.
That's cool because I listen to Gorset because like I've been in and hung out a little bit with like Ali, and I haven't done with Rory and them, and
Mm.
you know, I know Dylan Longworth isn't part of Gorset anymore, but he's always in here and everything. I mean, I don't know if Gorset's really doing anything right now, but like
Yeah,
yeah,
I think they're kind of wrapped up, but
but like yeah, that's it. That does actually connect. As I'm thinking about the connection between how Gorset music sounds versus how yours sounds, I can see the direct connection of the evolution, as it's like it is. I'd say, you know, it's kind of poppy and has that hyper pop, but it has an extremely emotional take on different vocals, and the way that you approach the lyrics, especially, feel yeah hyper emotive. I think that's a great description, as you said. So
I'm glad you think so. I've been stewing on that one for a while.
that's a
I'm excited
good
I get to use it
that's a
now.
good answer because I like personally I know I said this when I've been showing people since I heard Off That what your music sounds like, but when Face Down came out, I shared that a lot with people because I was like, I don't think people really have heard something that is done that is such a good balance of the two, of the
Mm.
I've been calling it this dance pop, hyper pop type thing, and then the lyrics that don't feel that feel more. I don't want to say emo because it's not what it is, but it kind of. I'm bad at genres. Let's just say I'm not a music guy.
No, it is. Because I thought about when I was writing it, I was like, I feel like I'm writing almost pop punky in the
Mhm.
sense that like the verse on Face Down, the like doing all the shit you said you wouldn't.
Mhm.
I don't. It is definitely kind of emo,
Mhm.
but it is on top of this flashy kind of like Snow Strippers, Two Hollis type of production.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's no. I think you're spot on.
Back then, I want to go to Off That because I think this is a really interesting introduction. Is that your first song that you put out really on Spotify and the platforms that you have right now is a feature. And it's a big one. I mean, it's a pretty big feature to have Funeral on your first track that you put out. Um,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, since then, you've got SEBii, you had Johnson on the one. I don't remember pronunciation of that perfectly. And then ash.won, I would assume
Yep.
is the other pronunciation. I mean, that's a lot of features. It's a lot of interesting connections that you have. I mean, how have you gone about like building these relationships and these connections that you have this early
Yeah.
in your process?
Funeral, excuse me, Funeral, I think I just got kind of lucky. I caught him at a good time. He had posted that he was doing features. I was working on Off That. Um, and it was to a point where I felt pretty confident in showing it. My mentality has always been I love creating, but I love creating with other people infinitely more. And I knew that if I could create a foundation of something good, no one was going to say no to being a part of something good, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of if I'm small. If someone comes to me and they hand me a track with an open verse that's just a fucking smash, I will write on. I don't care if they have 15 followers, right? So that was my mentality going into it. I was like, Off That is good. The writing is good. The delivery's there. The mix is good. I sent it to Funeral. And full disclosure, I did pay him for his work on that,
Yeah.
but he liked it enough to jump on it, and that gave me a lot of confidence to be like, wait, I didn't think Funeral would even respond to my DM, but now I know if I make a good foundation and I leave it open, people will consider it,
Mhm.
and that's just how it's kind of rolled from then. Johnson was more low key. Johnson wasn't someone that I was necessarily like a fan of for a long time. There was one specific song called NVM. Anyone listening, you should listen to NVM by Johnson. It's incredible. But the delivery was such a perfect match for what I was trying to accomplish on Having Fun, which is the track that Johnson's
Yeah.
featured on. Um, that I reached out and asked for some help on that. Um, and then there was SEBii and Ash. SEBii and Ash too. I guess I just got lucky. Ash actually found me though. Um, do you mind if I dig into the whole Japan, like
Go for it.
getting linked with Ash and stuff?
Go
Okay,
for it.
I just don't want to ramble too long.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I approached SEBii Thank God he liked Big Star. I don't know anyone that wouldn't like Big Star though.
That
I'm like so hype on that
that
song.
song is it's yeah. I don't have a way to
It was
describe it without going into. I feel like that it takes you like 30 minutes to describe how great that song is.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try my best to be humble on most of my stuff, but Big Star, I'm like, nah, we killed that one. That was
You
good.
did, you killed that.
Thank you, dude. ash.won. So I was running some ads on Facebook. I had saved up some money. I had that little if you look on my Instagram, there's the haunted reel where I'm like
Yep.
walking around. It's like, sure, you still reply, but now you don't care, and the camera's kind of stretching me out. I was running ads on that. Ash saw it from Tokyo. Thank God I had ads running in Tokyo. I don't really know why. And he reached out. I started listening to his music. I really liked his style. And when it came about time to move out, I was like, yo, I'm coming out. What if we just like did a song and then we'll be out there together? Maybe we could perform it together. Um, and it just worked out. So we did 6 voicemails. I did worry quite a bit that the English speaking audience would struggle with a Japanese verse coming on. And I've heard a few people tell me, friends and fans messaging like, hey, loved 6 voicemails. What is the guy saying on the second verse? Um, and I think, as unfortunate as it is that they don't get the kind of emotional connection that would come from understanding the lyrics, I do feel like he did a great job. And I feel like that's just kind of the price you got to pay when you're trying to do this like dual market of,
Yeah.
you know, Japanese American or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
English speaking, Japanese speaking.
And you can't make everybody happy either, because it's you when you're going with two different markets, you're gonna make they have different. I completely see that. I have a little bit of a marketing background too, so it's like I fully understand. Like these are two complete audiences. This is
Mhm.
uh they're gonna have different interests. They're gonna have different things, but I think it is cool to try to approach both of them because there's not many people who are doing it. So once again, back into the whole like niche thing, it's not like there's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of different. I mean, we've already said it. There's not really any hyperpop artists that are trying to even balance both of them right now. Pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
It's
much just
so
you.
interesting because oh, sorry,
I
sorry.
said
Go
pretty
ahead.
much just you that I know of right now. Obviously, there's more that will be, but
Yeah, after I set the trend, then all the
yes, of
boys are gonna come up on
course.
the Japanese train. Nah, I mean it's interesting because in Japan for like Western music is very popular, right?
Mhm.
Like fucking Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion. Like Megan Thee Stallion did that song with his old rap name was Ko. I don't know what he goes by now, but it's that like Watashi wa
Yeah, yep.
like um Japanese people will just eat up Western music. I feel like Western audiences really, really struggle to take anything in that's not strictly English, which is strange to me. I think I don't know. I've been listening to like his fucking what do you call it? I don't know, just K-pop, J-pop. Like I watched anime growing up, so I was into like that kind of music for a long time.
Mhm.
And so it's never been about really being able to soak up every bit of the lyrical meaning with music. Obviously, that's great, but yeah, I guess I do wish that the Western audiences could palate it a little better, but it is what it is.
All right, we're gonna do a quick speed round. Quick, I have some short questions. Quick, some favorites. So just to go down this list, we're gonna go by very fast. What are some of your favorite artists right now?
My favorite artists are. I listen to a lot of Roy. Oh, you know what? Let me look at my library.
Hmm.
It changes a lot. If I were to say like OG all-time favorites, it's probably Linkin Park, Kid Cudi, maybe Childish Gambino.
Hmm.
Um, Lately, though, I've been listening to a lot of Astoro, Japanese artist, Asstoro.
Okay.
That's a great one if you want to get into like kind of Japanese hyperpop shit. Um, and then Lil Besh Ramco. Ramco is like also a Japanese hyperpop artist. He's like growing more in America though. Huge in Japan. But I've seen like some of my homies from like LA and shit talk about him or like I see that they're following him or something. And that's Lilbesh Ramco.
Okay.
Ramko.
I had to put them on the list. I'll have to look
He's
them up. Both of
they're
those.
crazy. I'll send you some of my favorites because they're so good.
Okay. Definitely.
I
Yeah.
gotta. I want to give you like at least fucking two, like Western artists though. Um, a lot of Two Hollis. I feel like I'm a fucking fan, like a not fan bandwagoner for that, but Two Hollis is really fucking good, dude. Um, and then probably Frost Children maybe has
Okay.
been a big one lately.
All right. So Frost Children, two Hollis. We've got the two, Lil Besh Ramco and Astoro, or I don't know if
That's
there's
totally.
Astoro, and then obviously some of the older ones. Okay. Good list. Good list. Versatile list too, because it does.
You can see the evolution
Yeah.
from, 14-year-old Linkin Park rap fan to now Japanese hyperpop, however that happened.
Yeah. I'll be honest. It's the same thing with me, man. I go look at my playlist when I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't see how this got here. It's like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what it is that drives, because I feel like most hyperpop guys, like when they were younger, they were listening to like Linkin Park, fucking um, nothing's coming to me right now, but more like emo
Mhm.
rock type stuff.
Yeah,
And I
I'd
don't know what
say
it is that leads them
I think I have
down that.
like I have like Paramore, Linkin
Yes,
Park,
yes, yes.
even a lot of like Incubus, like that type
Oh
2000s rock,
yeah,
and then
I forgot about
and then there's more
Incubus.
rap stuff too, because like I liked R&B and singing, so Nelly, Neo, those
Mm,
people, and then you get a little bit closer when I'm in high school. It's Fetty Wap, it's Bryson Tiller, it's like
yeah,
you know what I mean, and now it's however the hell that goes from those people to yeah, who do you listen to now the most? I think right now my number one is probably Halo. Like I,
oh yeah.
like it's just
Oh,
that connection out of nowhere, how that has evolved to that point. I don't know. So yeah,
yeah.
it's cool to hear
Is it
both.
is it Halo? Because I used to. Have you heard Goodbye?
Yeah, I've listened to like everything. I can't remember
Okay.
all of them off the top because I listened to them all in order. But yeah, I think it's Halo because it's Logan, so I think it's Halo based on the
Oh,
producer tag too. The producer tag I think says Halo. I had to listen to
oh,
the whole.
I've been
I
saying
said
log.
Haylog. I said Haylog a lot until I listened to it when I had to make the music video for Eve, and I was like, "That says Log." That I'm listening to this in slow mo. It says Hey Log, not Slug. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, now I know. Damn. Okay, good to know. I won't embarrass myself if I ever meet Halog.
videographers, producers, or videographers, directors. Who are some of your favorites in that case? Because I know that you do a lot of visual stuff too.
Yeah. Strangely, so videographer I work with out here is Gen Miyakawa. He is tagged in my six voicemails posts.
Okay.
He's fantastic. He's an art student at a university out here, and I really love his stuff. It's very like Japanese, for lack of a better word. It feels the media out here has a lot more of like this clean, like um, kind of what's the word? Okay, okay. Look at this. Like look at this human traffic cover,
Oh,
and then
yeah, okay, I
this
can see what you're.
like this is probably even more specifically like I forget what the like aesthetic is called. I remember looking it up a couple months ago when we were working on picking a visual aesthetic for dynamics cover art. But it's very like clean, like thin lines, white text, lots of nature, lots of organic visuals. And Gen does a really great job of capturing that style in his videos. So six voicemails, obviously a little more like city type stuff. We filmed a lot of it downtown in Shibuya, but his other music videos, lots of like countryside in Japan, trains, stuff like that. It's really pretty. He's fantastic. I have never really been someone who was like into making videos. Um, it really was like just the unfortunate reality of not having a lot of money. I was like, I need to figure out how to edit my videos. I need to figure out how to film this stuff. And so like I did Haunted
Mhm.
myself with this chest rig. I don't know if you've seen the Haunted video,
Yep.
but it's this like, selfie cam. And I did that because I didn't have money to pay like a director or videographer. So I was like, let me just put a rig on, film myself. And I felt like it turned out great. And that gave me the confidence to be like, you know what? Let me do a full like direct my own video. I had a camera guy with me who actually shot it, but for face down, that was all kind of my
Yeah.
my vision, my editing, my directing, and I think it was fantastic. I really love that video.
For somebody who's like, yeah, I'm not really into the videos. I don't know how to make them. Those are
Well,
some crazy. You are a crazy level of humble. Like to put out
I shouldn't. Thank you.
to put
I
out the
shouldn't say I don't.
haunted, the having fun, the face down, how all those look. I mean,
I have like grown to love it. I do really really love the editing process. I like getting in that like flow state, locking in on something and just running through like 4 or 5 hours of, you know, pulling clips in and tweaking the audio and whatever. But I guess what I meant to communicate was like I've never been someone who did that consistently. Like growing up, I was never like, oh, I want to be a videographer, I want to be a YouTuber. Like that was never something that I was drawn to. But I've loved it since I started doing it. Now I almost like get frustrated watching other people edit my videos. Again, would send me cuts of 6 voicemails, and I was like, you should have like, can we crop this shot in? Can we like end this like a little before the drum hits and then switch to the and that may just be my like controlling tendencies, but that is so satisfied when I get to edit myself, you know?
and I know we've kind of touched upon these quick, but I just also the last one I have on the list is some of your favorite underground artists and producers that other people may not have heard of. I know you've touched on a few, but
You know who people probably haven't heard of is ote.midi.
yeah.
That's OTE period MIDI. He's so incredible. So I really want people to use like he's mine, like first and foremost. But he's so good with mixing. His mastering is incredible. Like everything is so industry standard with him because he's like studied this for years. It's not like he's
Mhm.
a bedroom producer like most of us are, which is fine. But MIDI is just a unique talent, and the fact that he's accessible is insane. So everyone who sees this should follow ot.midi on Instagram and book him for a mix or something.
Just, hey, we love to prop up the homies. That's what we gotta do.
The thing is, it's such like it's such an opportunity, and I'm
Mhm.
not even just saying that because he's like my guy. I have never worked with a producer that's as talented as MIDI. So like the fact that he's like low key in the underground and like he will work with you, you know, that's crazy.
All right.
People like him usually you can't get to him.
I'm gonna tell all my friends to DM ot.midi right now and tell them all to work
Please
with them
do.
because
Yeah.
so how do you and your team, MIDI and anybody else that you work with, how do you approach working on projects? Um, and if you
Yeah.
have any examples, go for it on any examples if you want to walk through any of them too.
Yeah, so it's been like a very like it's been an what evolutionary process. We've gone from trajectory, and this is kind of the naming conventions as well that we've chosen is trajectory was me figuring out the genre, right? Like what type of music am I going to be making? And so that was the trajectory. We're on this path. Dynamics was me and MIDI working together for the first time. So all of these tracks are, um, I did all the vocal mixing. MIDI mixed it in with the instrumentals and mastered it, and we put it out. And our next EP that we're working on is called Acceleration. And the idea with Acceleration is to do something finally start to finish from scratch. Dynamics, we had a lot of guest production on, some people helping with mixes here and there. So the the process for Acceleration so far, the process from the previous EPs was not all that interesting. It's probably what most people are doing. But for Acceleration, we actually just sit down together and we're just hunched over a computer picking sounds and MIDI will drop something in and I'll be like, wait, what if we pitch that? And he pitches it a little bit. And I'm like, wait, what if we took it like a little chunk out here and left that gap? And then I do this. And it's really, really fun because we're very in sync. MIDI has this technical know-how that I'm not at that level as a producer. But I think I have a great ear, and MIDI is very willing to listen to my input. So it's this fun back and forth, and there are definitely things he'll drop on the timeline, and I'm like, that shit sucks. Reverse, and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's like kind of feels like we're building a Lego set together or something. Yeah, the music that is coming out for acceleration specifically feels very more true to what we both want to be making. Working by myself, it was I wasn't making my own production. I was finding producers who were willing to sell me production. So I'm hunting for instrumentals that feel aligned with my vision, but it's never really gonna be 100% you, right? And I'm doing my own vocal mix, but then I ship it off to someone to do a more professional mix, and it comes back again like decent high quality, but it's not how I really want my vocals mixed. Um, so yeah, there's just this like alignment with intentions that I've never had before, or maybe vision, right? Um, yeah, it's been really special.
It feels like you guys are like just work really, really well together then. So
Dude, he's oh, have you ever played Portal 2?
I haven't, but but look,
That's what it's like. It's like playing Portal 2.
I like the analogy. I like the analogy. I've watched people play it, but I've never played it. I never had it. So
Okay, understandable. It's just you've both got a portal gun.
yeah,
You're solving puzzles together. It kind of feels like that.
yeah. Recently, you've had some visuals out. We just talked a little bit about it. So we've already discussed this a little bit. I just want to go through this and say, like, Face Down, Big Star, Six Voicemails, they all have a very distinctive kind of vision, especially creatively, like how they look, the visuals that you've gone for. What's the process or like the creative process behind, I guess, deciding and coming up and developing those visuals for those videos?
Yeah, I have this struggle between like wanting to build a like JPEG brand identity that's cohesive and everything can kind of fall in line with that versus just taking a song for what it is and wanting to do like just something hyper specific to that sound. Um, and for the most part, I've ended up going with the latter of just hyper specific. And you've seen, the difference between Haunted and Big Star, as far as the music video goes, is obviously very dramatic.
Yeah.
Um, but the process in choosing that is largely like, what am I into at the time? What's exciting to me? What makes sense thematically? So Haunted, obviously it's Halloween time. I was thinking, why don't I go to a haunted house? I get actors for free, right? I can film myself. Like it's kind of this like I was kind of picturing like Blair Witch Project, like found footage type music video.
That's
Felt like
how
would
it
be really,
feels. That's how it feels. So that's
yeah. I'm glad it comes across that way. And for Big Star, I was thinking about, I mean, just media that I loved and things that made me feel powerful. Anime music videos were the first thing that came to mind. I was like, do I just do an AMV? But it didn't feel. One thing I always try to think about is like, is it either like incredibly novel or is the barrier to entry high, right? Because people aren't gonna. I want to put out something that people haven't seen. That's the only reason they're gonna watch it because I'm just some guy. But if it's something that feels novel or the barrier to entry is high, there's more of an incentive to go click on that. So Big Star was very much a novelty thing. It was people do AMVs. People don't do these stick figure fighting tournaments
yeah.
anymore. And that's something that I grew up watching constantly. It was such a like rush to hear fucking Breaking Benjamin or Linkin Park, and there's these stick figures just knock each other's heads off.
Yeah.
So that was what we got that out of, and then Face Down was more the barrier to entry thing, right? Like who's gonna go rent a truck and drive down the freeway sitting on a stool in the back? Like people aren't gonna do that. The average artist is not willing to do that. Um, so I'm getting a little lost in my own sauce here, but that's the general idea for me of where I get these concepts from is what's novel, what's something that people aren't doing or maybe couldn't do that I uniquely can.
I didn't want to talk because I'm kind of that's that. So you're somebody who basically the level of challenge. There's a quote from Social Network.
You asked me which one was the easiest to get into because you think that that's the one where I'll have the best chance.
The one that's the easiest to get into would be the one where anybody has the best chance.
You didn't ask me which one was the best one, you asked me which one was the easiest. You're just saying I need to do something substantial in order to get the attention of the clubs.
I was just feeling that vibe. I don't know. I've watched Social Network
Yeah,
a lot, so
I would say it's not necessarily the level of challenge, although I don't want to do something that feels common and easy. It's like I could very easily go do these walking around the city, music videos that I chop up myself, and it's a visual, and a visual is always good to have. But yeah, I'm not particularly interested in making things that I've seen a million times. So yeah,
Okay.
I thrive on the novelty.
I love it. Along this kind of rise that you've had, and especially with some of the vocals that you put out on things, you have a very energetic vibe, but super introspective music. The lyrics are introspective, and the way that you approach the, what you're talking about and singing about is kind of a big juxtaposition between the production that is on the track, where you have this super energetic, almost dancey vibe, and then a super in I want to say the pick apart every little thing I do is a great vocal line as an explanation for this, where it has these super melodic, I guess I'm struggling to come up with words, so I feel bad for the question because I know I just
No. I mean,
But
I
yeah.
think I get the.
But yeah, like how have you gone around like taking such two completely different worlds within the music and in the lyrical content and found a good way to mesh the two together? How do you take that, you know, how do you ride that line so that it doesn't feel like you swing one way too far or the other way too far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of times with I mean, it happens with hip hop, it happens with hyperpop, it happens with dance music. There's a bit of like, if the beat is fucking punchy and everyone's, like you can kind of like live off that energy. I think people sometimes feel like they don't need to say much. And that's true. A lot of EDM music, it's a very generic like, we're living the life, we're gonna party to the end of
Yeah.
the night. Like it's
Yeah.
just having
Yes.
fun. And that's great. I just feel like when I sit down to write, it's because I have something to say. And I may have something to say that I think would be fun to throw on a really energetic kind of like housey dance beat. It may end up being on something more like pop punky, hyper
Mhm.
poppy, guitarish type stuff, like with six voicemails. But at the end of the day, it's like if I write a chorus and it feels trivial, I will erase that chorus and I will write something that's more impactful to me. So I think it's almost just like a fortunate consequence that lately it's come out sounding good. The bottom line for me is just like I don't want to write something unless it feels impactful. And thank God, like it's working so far
Yeah.
with the strange production choices I end up going with.
So then in the opposite direction, because we talk a little bit about the dance pop not wanting to feel like the lyrics don't mean anything. How do you then take the approach of, with these lyrics that do have a lot of meaning, going with the dance pop direction and writing that instead of going with more of a ballad direction like you could be doing? With the type of, basically the content of the lyrics feel like they sometimes would fit more of a R&B song, pop punk song, depending on the track that we're talking about in specific. But like, how do you then go back and swing it down to the dancey electronic upbeat type
Yeah.
vibe to it?
Yeah. I mean, with Face Down specifically, I was working off of production that we already had. So a lot of times, this probably sounds very pretentious. Sorry, there's
Nope, we're good.
another ambulance coming by. This probably sounds very pretentious, but I truly feel like when I write that I'm kind of like uncovering a song.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not that's actually how it's going, I like to visualize it that way. So Face Down, I'm hearing this, thumpy kick drum, and I'm just kind of like mumbling to myself, and I end up landing on something that just feels like it usually ends up being something that I want to say back. I want to sing it back. And that's how I'm like, oh shit, that's tough. Um, I remember saying, I hope you love him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I hope you love him. And I was like, why would I say? It's so interesting, right? Because I'm not necessarily sitting down thinking about like this cheating bitch ex of mine. Like, full disclosure, I've never been cheated on. Face Down was very much like a proxy
Yeah.
expression thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just something that I felt like I uncovered as I was top lining the beat. And I kind of wish I had a better answer for you. I feel like this isn't really
No,
giving anyone advice they can like tangibly use, but it's just something that kind of flows as you try to ride the beat. And if the words line up, the words line up. But I want to wrap it up with this. I think when you start wanting to sing it back, right?
Mhm.
Just keep that. And that's kind of like what I live by. You do some line, and then a lot of times I'll get it stuck in my head, or I'll be like making breakfast and I like start saying the same line in my head. And yeah, that's your trail to start running down.
Yeah. I feel like that the description of how you approach the I hope you love him is a great way of describing like following an energy of a beat for this more deep emotional thing where you might have fabricated a little bit of the story, but it hits harder when it's more upbeat. It's more outwards, I guess, too. I don't know. I might be putting words in your mouth, but like,
no, and sorry, just to make sure, it is a true story. It's a true story. I can't. Out of respect for the people involved,
yes,
like
okay.
I don't want to dive into.
Well,
things
we won't
like
go
that,
into detail,
right?
but like it is true. We're just
It is something that happened. It wasn't necessarily a cheating scenario.
Yeah,
I
it
will
wasn't
say that.
as direct. It was a form of okay. It's an
I think I think
it's a
you
form
can,
of cheating that wasn't cheating. It's okay. We won't go into detail. I'll move on. I'll move on. I'll move on. I know.
No, I apologize.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
It's hard because you have to toe this line between like I want to be an artist and I want to express things in a very raw and real way. But then it's interesting. I haven't done interviews. So then when someone's like, "Well, tell us about what that's about," and I'm like, "Fuck!" Like I haven't gotten permission to like speak on that.
oh
you
yeah,
know?
no, it's
So,
it.
but
Look,
you're totally fine.
I'm not saying specifically like that. I'll clarify from my perspective. I'm not trying to say that it was made up. I'm trying to say like a lot of people when they take a lyric, they'll turn it into something that musically sounds better and can and tell it. I mean, because sometimes you're gonna slightly adjust not details of the story, but like you want to make it feel like it's connective. That the story as a whole feels like it can make sense. It meshes. There's a lot of things
absolutely.
you can sing about the same problem 1,000 different ways. So when you come into the issue, I was more saying with this, you rode this idea and this concept and followed the energy of it, which allowed it to feel more energetic and punchy. And it had that because of the choice that you made, because it was catchy in your ear. It felt like it. And that was kind of what I was trying to think of. Like that's your approach to, I guess, keeping it energetic while still keeping all of the content having the deep and personal meaning to it.
Exactly. Do you mind if I dig into that a little more?
Go
Or do
for
we
it.
need to keep moving?
No, go for it.
I just think I want to say, so I kind of pitch it, when I'm like making a TikTok, I'll pitch it as like this I got cheated on kind of anthem. In reality, I hope you love him, know that fucker had you face down last night. It's not necessarily like I was cheated on. It's, they are with someone else now. And I know that you guys are doing your thing and I'm visualizing it more than I'd like to,
Okay.
And then getting into the verse is very much a specific experience that had happened. The coming home to see you did all the shit you said you wouldn't, like I'd said before. But yeah, I do take a lot of pride in making sure that my songs are very much, to some degree, like a journal entry, right? I really want to be able to look back on these things and see clearly what inspired them and know that I'm like speaking from some kind of truth, right? And obviously there are lines that are, kind of substituted in that may not be perfectly true to my experience, but are rather just something broad enough that everyone can see how I'm feeling, right?
I think this is this is where I feel like I meant to kind of say, use an analogy to you talked about it at the beginning a little bit of how some of your sounds a little bit like Hypochondriac by Break-Ins, and I feel like if you really listen to the lyrics of that track, of all those tracks, they can be interpreted a ton of different ways, but they're honest. They're just slightly vague enough so that it can be applied to a bunch of different situations. That's kind of what I tried to mean. by that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's hard to find
Surely-
words at times.
No, I'm stumbling all over myself. But yeah, surely someone who has never been cheated on could hear Face Down and and feel a connection to some kind of, like disheveled relationship in their past or something. Like it's that was the goal for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on from this train wreck of words. That just
Yeah.
turned into-
Yeah, let's keep going.
let's just go. Okay, so we're getting to we're getting here. You talked a little bit about this, about moving on to your next project, but you completed Dynamics. You're in Japan. You recently did. I know when I wrote the question, you had just done I think your first show with ash.won. I know you've done a couple since then. Not necessarily. I don't know what I can't read Japanese, so I don't necessarily know what all of who you're working with every time. But but I know you've been doing it. So where do you see yourself continuing to go besides just with the next project you're working on with Acceleration?
Yeah. So Acceleration is the kind of the cap on the 3 EP trilogy. So once that is done, I'm definitely going to be doing some more stuff, collaborative stuff with artists out here. The scene, specifically in hyperpop, glitch pop in Japan, it's very inclusive and people have been super welcoming. So I definitely want to take advantage of that. Work with people that I previously thought I might not be able to work with, but I don't know how that's going to fit into the structure. The idea was do Acceleration, another four-track EP, and then just full album mode. Me and MIDI have been working on a few different tracks that just haven't really fit into anything, but they all fit together quite well. And we're starting to build this narrative. It's really exciting, but I'm that may be pushed out further than I thought. So it may be Acceleration, and then some collaborative EP or collaborative type of album, and then the first regular JPEG album. I'm not sure, but next one for sure is going to be Acceleration.
And more, concerts and shows and stuff, I assume, along the way.
I hope so. I mean, we're booked for one in December. Yeah, I mean, the collaborative stuff really is what gets you into the door for shows out here. But I'm also, it's the 26th. I'm exactly 2 months into existing in Tokyo. So I think the next several months will be, showing my face and getting my name out there more and more. And then I'll be here for the foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
Surely there will be more shows, next year.
Before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to promote? Any, socials where people should find you, all this stuff?
Yeah, YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. I feel like my YouTube channel is kind of like feels like my portfolio. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like all the videos I've worked on, the music clearly is there. So if there's anything that I would want to introduce someone to JPEG by, it would be the YouTube channel.
Especially the secret 8485 cover that's hidden on there that people can't see on your Spotify and your Apple Music.
Yeah, you know what? Is it crazy that I didn't put that on there? I hate the idea of having covers on there.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I think that covers are hard to promote as your own project. So, but on YouTube, it makes sense because that's the perfect place for it. SoundCloud is the other, SoundCloud's another place for it too.
It is on SoundCloud.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, if you're looking for something unique and something new to watch from JPEG, and you haven't followed the YouTube, there's a gorgeous cover of Southview on that channel that I personally just was. I think I was on your channel. I was like, I haven't seen this. What the I was like, he did an 8485 cover, and I listened to it, and the visuals are good, and I was like, oh, okay. Did not expect to see that. So
I'm really glad you liked that one. That was such a special song for me, and I tried very hard to make it an elevated cover. Right? I didn't want to sing the song, move on. So we did some different production on it. We did slightly different production, right? It's mostly the same, and some lyrical stuff in there that's not in the original. But even then, I feel bad posting that on my discography on Apple and Spotify. So only SoundCloud and YouTube for now.
But hey, once again, we just get another thing that you do the harder thing, that you choose the harder path. The more JPEG path than
More JPEG
than everybody else's PNG path. So there.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck a PNG.
Hope there's nobody named ote.png. And if
You
there
know,
is,
there may, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there will. If we get another like visual arts guy on the team,
it's
we
just
might have a PNG one
it's just
day.
gonna be an artist on OTE who just makes really really simple trap beats. That's gonna
Yeah,
like wow.
PNG.
What is his job? He takes the easy way out every time.
Yeah, he's the antithesis of
He's the
JPEG.
antithesis. He's got a full. All right, I'm gonna join. I've got a full head of hair. I'll be
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
PNG. I'll take the easy way out every time. I'll make terrible music. We'll be good.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, we need one like that.
All right. So all right, and then follow. Besides on the YouTube, follow ote.jpeg. Follow ote.midi as well as we
Yeah.
mentioned on Instagram. On pretty much all socials, right? It's same. Is it same on all socials?
MIDI, I think MIDI's just doing Instagram.
But is yours all the same on all socials too?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing that's different is Twitter. I didn't get the dot. You can't do dots, I don't think, on
Yeah,
Twitter. So
yeah.
it's just OTE JPEG.
Okay.
But yeah, OTE JPEG everywhere. If you search that on Google, you'll probably be able to find all of them pretty easy.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I am irrelevant. You have just found out who is relevant, and I thank you very much for watching. And adios.
Thanks so much, man. See ya.